Booyakasha Wagwan. John Rogers in the building. You have to tell us about yourself before you start. That's what I do with everyone.
Oh, okay. Wait, like, so, all right. So, what about myself?
Anything.
Should I say anything?
Yeah.
All right. My name is John.
Yeah.
That's it?
All
Yeah.
right, let's get into it.
Okay, cool.
Deontologist. Nah.
Yeah. I'm John Rogers.
What did you study?
I studied psychology first year out of uni.
How much money
with
do you make? No, I'm kidding.
At least $3 an hour.
$3 an hour.
At least, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, studying psychology first year out of uni, then switched to occupational therapy, but deeply passionate about philosophical ideologies in the humanities, which is why I'm excited for this
Nice. All right.
podcast today.
We'll get into it. So obviously we are products of our environment. We're very westernized people, but I understand you've got a few different ideas about different sort of philosophies, and I think we're going to get straight into talking about the impact on society more broadly.
Yeah.
What each philosophy kind of entails in terms of how it impacts both if our lives, if we were to incorporate those as our own ideologies, and society more broadly, if that was a broader kind of societal philosophy. What's the first philosophy you want to go through?
Yeah, so I've just got the main ones. Just the main ones. So I've got utilitarianism.
All right.
I don't know if you're familiar.
What does that
with
explain
so
for the audience?
Basically, so the utilitarianism is focused on achieving the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. So it's very quantitative in its approach to society. So greatest amount of good for maximum amount of people.
Right.
And yeah, so we'll start off with that.
Well, that's an interesting one already, because already you can kind of think of heaps of different kind of dilemmas that you'd have surrounding utilitarianism. Like, what does it mean to quantify the value of a life? Stuff like that gives rise to things like the trolley problem and that sort of stuff, which is a very interesting kind of place to go to.
That's a very good example.
Yeah. What do you think about utilitarianism?
So there are, so like I'm going to talk about the pros and cons about each philosophical ideology. So for utilitarianism, because like on paper it does sound pretty good and it sounds pretty logical, right? Like, let's just achieve the max amount of good for the maximum like amount of people. Yeah. So on a societal scale, like if it's applied everywhere today, you'd think that we would see as a collective, everyone would be happier or more settled, or given access to, as many people will have access to as many resources as society will be able to provide. Yeah, right. So that's what I think it would look like if it was applied everywhere.
Well, that's already interesting.
So like an example of that would be like, vaccination campaigns for as many people as possible. Okay. That's an example of utilitarianism. Yeah. So are you saying more broadly, if we were to use utilitarianism more broadly as a society, it would result in more happiness for the greater number of people and that sort of stuff? All right, we're going to get straight into it. What is happiness? What is happiness?
I'm going to grill you.
Oh, okay. And actually, I'm happy you asked that because that's one of the. Sorry, if it's all right, I might just talk about because I talked about the pros of utilitarianism.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go to the.
I was going to say one of the detriments of it is related to your question. What is happiness? Because everyone has a different idea of what it is, right? So the thing with utilitarianism is because it's focused on the collective, or like a collective, which is the maximum amount of people. That doesn't leave room for individual freedoms and doesn't take into account individual perspectives. So what I mean by that is like with utilitarianism, if let's just say everyone thinks that, I don't know, oranges are the healthiest fruit ever. Yeah. Everyone should be eating them. Yeah. And there's so many health benefits. I mean, there are health benefits. Yeah. But that's the number one healthiest fruit you can eat, right? So the government, a utilitarian government would say, right, everyone has to incorporate oranges into their diet, into their daily diet.
Yeah.
But then the problem, and because most people agree, and it does have health benefits for most people.
Yeah.
And so people start eating oranges every day. But I mean, I should have used a better example. But then, like, people that don't like oranges or prefer apples instead,
Yeah.
they're not taken into account when it comes to that, because the majority because utilitarianism caters to the majority.
Yeah. Not the minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so
So
much.
yeah,
to,
so to respond to your direct question, what
Yeah.
is happiness? I'd say it depends.
Uh-huh.
It varies person to person, and
Mhm.
that's why I think that things like personal happiness
Yes,
will not be accounted for in a utilitarian society.
Okay. Well, I've got so much to discuss there.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why I knew that this would flow really naturally when we get into it, because there's so much to even just go over with utilitarianism already. With utilitarianism as a philosophical kind of, if someone were to be a utilitarian, would that entail an obligation to prioritize the maximal amount of pleasure or happiness or well-being where possible?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So
exactly.
moral dilemmas are sorted. You sort through moral dilemmas by choosing the option that would entail the maximal amount of pleasure for the most amount of people.
Yep.
Right.
Correct.
So when it comes to the trolley problem, the 5-to-1 trolley problem, I don't know if anyone wouldn't know what that is, but I'm just going to explain it anyway.
Yeah.
So like if a train was hurling down towards 5 people, about to go through all of them, and you're inside the train, and you can hit a lever that will transfer the trolley to another track on which only one person is working there,
Yep.
and it will kill that one person. A utilitarian would be morally obligated to pull the lever because it's
If it's to save more people, I believe, a utilitarian would say, save more people, because that will produce the most amount of good for the maximum amount of people.
right. Okay, now this is where it gets complicated. And I think I heard Alex O'Connor use this particular example, which is so interesting, and I thought it was so interesting. I can understand that if you're a utilitarian,
Yep.
but let's make the example a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
Let's say there's one person on either side of the trolley, and so you're not going to, by hitting the lever, you're not affecting the amount of people who's going to die. There's one person on either side, but the person inside the trolley is a psychopath, right? A sadist. They enjoy inflicting suffering upon other people. And so by pulling the lever and making that person feel like they had an active causative kind of effect on someone's death, you're increasing his pleasure. Does that mean that person has an obligation to pull the lever to increase the maximal amount of pleasure? The outcome is the same whether or not you hit the one person.
Yeah.
That's one question I thought, wow. And there's so many, like, that's just one kind of interesting, like, kind of stab in the heart of utilitarianism. But what do you think about that?
No, that's a very, very good question.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting,
obviously, I
isn't it?
can't compete with Alex O'Connor. Yeah, I need to think about that. So, okay. Wait, so just rephrase it really quickly. So the one person in the...
There's one person
Yep.
on either side, on either track on the trolley, right?
Just one person.
One person on this side, one person on this side.
Okay.
The trolley is hurling towards one person,
Yeah.
but you have the ability to pull the lever and make the trolley transfer to hit another person, right? But since the person inside the trolley is a sadist, they actively enjoy.
Wait, so there's a person inside the trolley not operating the...
Yes. So that's the thing. So usually in the example, it's like, what would you do if you were in the... But let's say, for example, it wasn't us.
Typically in the trolley problem, that's why I wanted to clarify. Because it's usually like 4 people on one track and one person on the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where the dilemma comes in. Because,
Yeah.
Because if it was that, it'd be really easy to answer from a utilitarian perspective.
Yeah.
You're like, you obviously save the 4 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the most amount of people.
Exactly.
But your one, so there's one person on like one person per track. There's 2 tracks. And the person inside is going to get pleasure from
pulling the lever.
From pulling the lever,
And feeling like they have an active participation in that person's death.
Well, actually, under a utilitarian perspective, I'd say that, as interesting as this sounds, I'd say that sadism of the person in the trolley it's not really taken into account purely from a utilitarian perspective.
Okay.
Because like I said, it's more of a quantitative ideology. So it's kind of hard to answer this question purely from a utilitarian perspective because it's the same amount of people. Like the same amount of people are going to die regardless of the outcome, right?
Yeah, so that's interesting. But you're saying it's difficult to take that into account because you're supposed to quantify
because
it.
Because you have to quantify it.
That's true. But the thing is, I think there's so this is where it's going to get a little argumentative.
Oh, well,
because I'm going to disagree here.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's good when we disagree.
Yeah. So, so it's true that you can't like. I'm laughing. Oh my god, it's true that you can't like quantify like in its entirety how much pleasure that sadist, that psychopath will get from feeling like they've killed someone, right? That's true. You can't quantify it.
Yep.
But you can say that there is some pleasure at least because we can't put a number on it.
Of course,
that's true. And I think mathematically, like you can kind of conclude that the option of them pulling the lever and getting that pleasure, even though we can't technically account for how much pleasure that it has added on, we know mathematically that it's at least more than the option of them just leaving the trolley on its current path.
But will they not get the same amount of pleasure because regardless of the outcome, someone's going to die anyway? And if they're a sadist or a psychopath, they're still going to get the pleasure out of someone being killed?
The thing is, but like if the question is, that's true, but like let's say that it was the case that if they changed the path of the trolley, that they would feel more agency in that murder. If that was the case, then they'd be obligated to do that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so they'd have an active role in directly causing someone's death, which would result in pleasure for them.
Yeah, if that was the case that it did, then they'd be obligated as utilitarians.
True. That's very true.
Not only would they be like they would be morally righteous is the word for having done that, which sounds so crazy to me.
Which is interesting, because because I was gonna say, like, as far as my knowledge of utilitarianism goes, it doesn't really speak much of individualism, like how individual morals or the variety of morals are taken into account. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's why, because the trolley problem is such a broad question and there's so many different factors in it. Yeah, it's really hard to argue from a utilitarian perspective.
I also don't think, I think this isn't like a hard and fast thing, like where it's like utilitarianism is now debunked, no one can be utilitarian. I think it's more like you can't simply employ utilitarianism. There has to be other things involved. I think you're going to get
definitely.
to that. So
Yeah. I was going to say.
Keep going.
I mean, I've got a bunch of different ideologies I want to talk about.
Keep going.
Yeah. And you can apply the trolley problem. It'd be much easier to answer the trolley problem under any of those things. Anyway, but Anyway, but do you have anything to add on utilitarianism?
It's also like,
I feel like it's pretty, like, it is a pretty basic. Oh, not basic. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like misunderstand what it means for like utilitarianism, like what it means to incorporate utilitarianism into kind of like an ethical system, because there is a role for it.
Yeah, of course.
But people treat, like, for example, if you were hard, fast utilitarian, purely utilitarian, then you can justify all sorts of crazy things, like the surgeon example. If you have one healthy patient and they have all the organs necessary that would save 5 other people who are missing an organ, you are, as a hard and fast utilitarian,
you will be morally obligated to kill the health or take away the healthy person's organs and
killing them as part of the process. You would be, and that's why that's like, and then people would be like, oh, okay, then utilitarianism has no place for an ethical system. I don't think that's true. We still use it. Like, for example, a good example I always like to cite is the idea of speed limits. So, like, I would ask you, for example, do you think we should drop all speed limits around the world by 10 kilometers an hour?
It depends.
Wait, that's a stupid question because I didn't ask why. Let me give some context. Let's say if it were the case that by dropping every speed limit around the world by 10 kilometers, you would save probably hundreds of people. And that is the case. That actually is the case. You'd save hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. And so would we be morally obligated to like reduce the speed limit like almost infinitesimally until we not infinitesimally to keep doing that until we save the maximal until we save all these lives? I would say that no, we don't have an obligation to do that.
Yeah.
Because of the principle of utilitarianism. Because when we think about the convenience that speed limit affords the society, not just convenience, but the ability for society to function and all that sort of stuff, that's the principle of utilitarianism. And I think that is where it's useful. Yeah. But it's just you can't be hard and fast. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, that's why. So you really got to think of the collective, of the benefits of the community as a whole, the maximum amount of people.
Yeah.
But that's where it gets complicated because there's short-term benefits. Like you said, the short-term benefits would be, we see less deaths caused by speeding in certain zones. But the long-term benefits would be like, as a result, more and more people have been inconvenienced. Yeah. You know, when they're driving to work or dropping off people at school and everything. Yeah, that's why it's really like, that's why utilitarianism is very complicated. Yeah. Because, for short-term, I'd say it's pretty straightforward when it comes to short-term benefits, but long-term benefits, it's very hard to see.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right, I think you've got. Yeah, we can keep going.
I think we've. Yeah. So next ideology, I'm sure you're very familiar with existentialism. So for people who don't know, it's got a stronger emphasis on individual freedoms, choices, responsibility. Basically, like, there's no inherent meaning. Oh, that's existential nihilism. But existentialism is just like you create your own meaning in life, right?
Yeah, I guess that does entail that there's no inherent meaning, though. Yeah, because it's like you create it. So I think that's you don't have to be a nihilist to think that there's no inherent meaning in something. I don't think. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, do you have any thought? Like, so if everyone in society was a existentialist, what do you think it would look like?
I mean, I think that is I think we are existential. I have to think about that statement. I would describe myself as an existentialist. In the sense that, actually, this is a difficult one because I don't think I'm creating my own meaning. I think I'm finding meaning in things.
Yeah, but it's through your own process, right? And on your timing.
Yeah. I would say that I'm not choosing to find meaning in like I'm not choosing to find meaning in loving my girlfriend, my husband, my my children. I don't have any of that. I have a girlfriend, sorry.
You don't have one of those.
But I don't think I'm choosing to find the meaning in that.
Yeah.
I think that I find meaning in that. Like I just happen to, but like so that's the clarity.
That's the thing, because like, you know, when people say like, oh, like, well, I said like choosing or creating your own meaning, it doesn't mean like actively like every time you're in a moral dilemma or just in general when you're doing everything, you're like, okay, I'm going to create meaning in this moment. It's like it could be like a subconscious thing, or just kind of like take it as you go, kind of thing. Because it's a process.
Dude, I think it will still record if but anyway. 100%. Okay, so the thing is, just as a point of clarity, I don't think we create our own meaning, as you said. It's not an active thing
under existentialism.
I don't think we create it. Like, the reason why I would say that is because I wouldn't be able to choose to not find meaning in being loving towards people that I care about. For example, I wouldn't be able to choose not to find meaning in that. I just do, and it's so gripping.
Exactly.
So but it comes from me. Like, if someone happened to not find meaning in that, I wouldn't be able to convince them and appeal to some sort of objective place of meaning.
And that's the exact point I was going to make. Because my next question was, so when you so even though you're not actively choosing to find meaning in your relationships with people like your girlfriend or family or whatever, the meaning still comes from a methodology that's not determined by anyone except you, right?
Yeah.
So you're not methodology. So you're not operating under a framework determined by something or someone else. It's only like by your own framework, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And that's exactly what existentialism is.
So I was
gonna say, I mean, I think at times I'd say I'm an existentialist
Yeah.
as well. In the sense that, I operate like just in general, like personally in life. Like I don't operate under any external framework. Also, I mean, like the law still applies to me. Things like that. So I operate under that.
I'm a sovereign individual. You can't find me.
I'm not like a sovereign. But just in terms of everything.
Sovereign individuals.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
if any are listening. But
some of them
but what I mean by that is, I'm the same. Like I don't operate under. I'm influenced by external factors.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like my moral framework comes from me.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is and I'd say a lot of people. I don't actually know. I don't want to speak for other people.
Well, the thing is, if I think people think they aren't existentialists.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even if you were to appeal to some sort of external thing where meaning is kind of objectively grounded.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the is-ought problem?
Sorry, what?
The is-ought problem?
Is-ought? No, I haven't.
So just because something is so zesty right now. Just because something is, it doesn't mean that we have sufficient justification to say that it ought to be that way. For example, if I say that it is morally wrong to do this thing, that's objectively the case. If I were to say that, that's not good. No, I'm kidding. But if I were to say that, it still doesn't solve the issue of the prescription of saying you ought to do this, right?
Yeah.
It's just a statement. The ought is like a whole different like realm of conversation. Because one is descriptive, like this is the case, and the other one is prescriptive, something that you should do. And I think that's the same with existentialism. So if we say this is where meaning comes from, this is what it is. Even if you could prove like some sort of God or some sort of thing like pre-designed this meaning, and this is an objective source of meaning. You can't therefore go from that description of the world and say that you are therefore obligated to live to find meaning in this, because if I just don't happen to find meaning in it, what do you do then? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's I don't think it's really possible, like from a theoretical point, to be a kind of non-existentialist purist. If I'm like. Think that like meaning can be objectively grounded. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that's possible.
Okay, so you don't think meaning is objectively grounded?
I don't think it's possible to objectively ground meaning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be careful with the way I use objective.
No, I know.
I've used it kind of poorly in the past, and I'll admit to that.
Yeah.
Past podcasts, people.
Yeah, that's all right. But I do get what you're trying to say, and I actually agree with you on that point as well. Because you're right. I mean, like there are people that wouldn't define themselves as existentialists, but I mean, like I've heard a great podcaster say once before, like everyone's opinions and views are subjective. Even
did I say that?
But even they believe it to be objective, they're still subjective, because not everyone views everything the same way.
It's not like I don't think we have the ability to just say things are objective or subjective.
Exactly. Well, because all our experiences and everything we think of is still it's subject to our understanding.
But let's define objective and subjective before we get. I want to make sure we.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to talk much about objective and subjective. Because like all my points are pure. Like I mean, they have to be subjective because it's subject to the philosophies I'm talking about. But I'm happy to define.
It's only because I've realized that I was using the word objective in one kind of way. So the word objective, it means its truth value is independent of the way you feel of it. Not feel, independent of the way you think, feel, or you experience. It's so something that's objective, you can't actually
like the sky is blue, the grass is green.
The truth value behind that statement isn't influenced by the way we feel. But then there's also the dilemma of when we say something is objectively true, that also implies certainty in its when we say that statement. Something is objectively true. And I think that's why it was confusing to me in the past, because when we say something is objectively true, it means there's some degree of certainty implied in the statement. It's not just saying that its truth value is independent of the way we feel. It's also that it is true. Like, I think that's part of the word. That's kind of implied in the statement that is objectively true.
Yeah.
I just needed to clarify that.
Yeah.
Because
I think it's good to clarify.
Yeah. Anyway.
Ahead of time.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
So existentialism. I've got Stoicism down too, but
gotta love that one.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
Legend.
That was my favorite philosophy that I studied when I did that philosophy unit at school.
Philosophy.
Yeah. Sorry, it's my accent. Anyway, but do you know much about Stoicism?
Yeah. I mean, I've read a little bit about it, but enlighten me though.
Yeah. So just basically means accept what you can't control. Don't stress too much about it. Be stoic in your actions and what you believe is right. Basically. Yeah. So I'm just thinking about Hiccup's dad from Training.
Yeah, literally. That's so true.
Yeah. But but it's just more about it's very rigid and focused on discipline, self-discipline and mastering what you can.
I think a lot of people have misinterpreted Stoicism to be something very different, which is being able to contain your problems in silence. I think that's a very gross misinterpretation of what it is.
Yeah.
You hear that all over the internet. I'm a Stoic. It just means I don't cry in front of my girl. I'm like, that's not Stoicism.
That's not Stoicism.
That's not Stoicism. Yeah. But there's a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I was going to say, but on adding on to that point, but that's actually one of the detriments of Stoicism. We talked about a little bit about the benefits, but that's that could be one of the detriments. Is because you accept what you can't control. It doesn't really give you a chance to directly address your negative emotions that may come up when you can't control something, like frustration, fear, anger.
Yeah.
Because you're just expected to kind of we're putting it in more simple terms, suck up and push through.
Yeah.
Whatever you can't control.
Yeah.
That just invalidates the emotions you'd be feeling in that situation, which isn't necessarily healthy. I mean, you're studying psychology, so suppressing emotions isn't necessarily good all the time.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. The only thing is that I'm not sure if that's a consequence of what not the doctrines of Stoicism, but I'm not sure if that's a direct feature of Stoicism, or it's just something that Stoicism doesn't have enough to account for. Yeah, I think it's more so the second one, where it's it's not complete insofar as it doesn't give you the ways to deal with that acceptance.
Yeah.
It just says that's what you should do, and maybe it doesn't. Which is true. Yeah.
So there's no really if there was a codex for Stoicism, it wouldn't say much.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't say bottle your feelings. It wouldn't say that.
It just wouldn't say anything.
Exactly.
Which is an issue if it's if everyone was a Stoic.
Yeah.
Then obviously every human being feels emotions.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
But if there's no if the rules around addressing emotions are too vague, then it could lead to things like emotional dysregulation. People wouldn't be able to control or address it properly.
Yeah, 100%.
Which it does lead to long-term consequences, right? Yeah.
Well, I think that's the difference between also necessity and sufficient and necessary.
Yeah.
So I like those words because whilst Stoicism, some of the, I'm not saying that it's necessary, but I'm saying while something may be necessary, it isn't sufficient. I kind of apply the same principle to maybe Stoicism, where it's some of the principles are really useful, but you shouldn't just rely on Stoicism.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And so I forgot because I was gonna say this. It might lead to. But I meant this for Stoicism, but I was actually meant to say this for existentialism.
Yeah.
As well. Another detriment is that. Sorry, I'm just going to jump back to existentialism really quickly.
Jump.
Because we didn't really talk about the about the detriments of existentialism. Do you think that if meaning is up to the individual based on their subjective experiences, do you think some people might actually find that difficult?
If meaning is up to...
difficult to operate under an existentialist worldview, because for people that can't... Because it's really good for people that have self-awareness and, a strong moral foundation,
and introspection and all that sort of stuff.
But just someone that's not very
smart.
Like yeah.
That's one of them.
Oh, yeah, well, not necessarily smart. Yeah, like not smart or just not self-aware.
Self-aware,
like emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, because like it is a huge burden when you think about it, right? Like having to create your own meaning.
Yeah, it is. Actually, no, it's a huge burden.
Yeah, because and like some people, like a lot of people would like that idea, but when you think like you have an entire lifetime to live, and it's up to you to find meaning in that. That's a pretty big task to undertake. I'd say. Mm.
The only thing I'd say is that I don't think they, as we mentioned before, I don't think they're creating the meaning. You're right, it would be a task. If they were actively there writing the document of meaning, if you know what I mean. But because I think most people actually do find things meaningful. Mm-hmm. They do naturally. Like I think it's
unless you're like a hardcore nihilist.
Yeah, but even if you say you're a nihilist, I mean, perhaps you're a nihilist more broadly, but I mean, it seems to me that we only do things that we see value in.
Yeah.
We have to value the thing we're doing, otherwise we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can make meaning synonymous with value, but every time we do any action, there's a value hierarchy there, right? Mm-hmm. I eat because I'm getting something out of the process of eating. I stand up, I do this because I'm getting something out of that process.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone inherently devalues everything in the world.
Yeah.
To some extent, you have to value something because you're acting. Yep. Every time you act, the implication is a value there. It's necessary.
Yeah.
As far as meaning, like in terms of like, is the value of these things sufficient to justify my existence in this world? That's another question. That's another question. And if that's the question where it's like, how do we convince people that things are meaningful enough to be alive? I mean, I guess that's what psychologists are trying to do as well.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to ask you because because I mean you're studying the human psyche.
Yeah.
So you definitely know more about this than I would. But it's just my assumption that is when I was like looking, saying, all right, I'm going to talk about existentialism. I was just thinking because, like we both said, both of us do operate under an existential worldview.
Yeah.
But that's us. Just us two. But like other people might not want to be an existentialist, or might not think, like they can only find meaning in ideologies or thought processes external to their own. Like you said, like not smart or just not aware enough.
Yeah, it's not just smart.
Because that's pretty like blunt. Like,
of course.
But just not able to operate independently of external influences.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it's also true that even if you're incredibly intelligent, you have a lot of introspection, a lot of people struggle with meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not a intellectual.
It's not.
There is a bit, like it is a factor, but it's just so deeply personal.
It is
really. You can be influenced to find meaning in certain things, but ultimately it's up to you whether you find meaning or not.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because, like, I mean, everyone inherently finds meaning in things, and I mean that's like the basis of existentialism is that meaning. Sorry, the meaning isn't inherent to the thing, but we inherently find the meaning in that thing kind of naturally, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the idea of existentialism. And like the big issue is like, what if you have someone who feels as though the value of the things that they do in their life, the value of the things they value, what if that didn't translate into enough meaning that is sufficient for them to feel like that it's worth being around? And I think that kind of equation is kind of calculated unconsciously in every kind of, I don't know if I can say the word, but I'm not a big channel, so it doesn't matter. But every self-deletion attempt, let's say that.
Yeah.
But like I think every time someone tries to self-delete, that an implication of that is that they've done that mental calculus in their head. Already,
exactly.
Without them even knowing it.
Yeah.
And so how do we...
They've had like, even when someone does choose to end their life, like it'll be, you're right. They would have done like what's it called? they would have had a system of measurement of things that are worth doing and things that are not worth doing. Yeah, they would have already decided.
Yeah, they're not like writing it down.
Yeah,
but their brain automatically does it.
Yeah, they're processing it and saying, all right, this is like ultimately there was a series of factors that led them to committing that decision.
Yeah, exactly.
If they chose to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they did, it's an indication that the calculations went in that particular direction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
that's how we make decisions as human beings.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that the question is, does that mean that there isn't enough meaning to go around for people? I don't think
that's the case.
I don't think that's the case either. Well, I want to hear what you think about it before I say what I think about it.
Okay. No, I was going to say, well, because I don't agree with I don't agree with that at all, because like, it's not like meaning's a tangible thing. Like, you can't say, it's not like a resource. We're like, oh yeah, we don't have enough to go around. It's like, no, it's so.
I'll
like
take some if that was the case.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it'd be really good if I could just kick back and just have meaning come to me. But, probably not like that. No, but what was I saying? Yeah, so so it's not a matter of how much meaning there is, or because that's so, like I said, so deeply personal. It's like saying there's not enough love to go around. In the world. So it's not. You can't have limited amount of love. In a family.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure no parent ever says, oh, we can only have 3 kids because I don't have enough love for 4. Like, if we had 4. Like, that's not the case. It'll... I don't even know how to say it. It's so hard to define meaning. Like, in this context. Like, it'll just come as you go, pretty much.
Yeah.
It'll just present itself, or you'll just process it all subconsciously. And even not finding meaning in something is still a process. Yeah. Because you go through something. Let's just say, I don't know, I tried, what haven't I tried before? Like whitewater rafting. And I said, I don't really enjoy it. Like, I don't necessarily hate it. I just don't find value in doing it, because I don't find pleasure in it. But I wouldn't have known that to be certain, according to my worldview, if I didn't try that experience first.
Yeah, exactly. It's a process of learning. So even when you find something that's not meaningful, that's part of the learning.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I do, 100%. There's also another thing I want to add, because I don't think. Okay, this is really important to me. I thought about this a lot. Okay. I don't think it's wise to tell people that there is no situation in which self-deletion is the best option, because that's just disingenuous to them. It makes them feel like they're living in a... For example, I'll give you an example. If you were living inside a box, right, and you had no control of your limbs, and you were just squashed. You couldn't eat, you couldn't drink, you do anything, but you just you just lived like that. Okay. And that was all you knew, and you couldn't move. You couldn't do anything, right? I mean, surely there's... And all your life was just characterized by claustrophobia, suffering, just unimaginable suffering. I mean, I can say, I think with confidence, that I wouldn't say that self-deletion is a crazy thing to consider in that situation. Right?
Oh, definitely.
So there are situations, right, on a spectrum of now where's that line where it's like you should try to consider. I think that where living is the better option.
Acceptable consideration.
Yeah, exactly. Where is that line? And I think that most people who engage in self-deletion, for a better, but most people who feel as though it's not worth living, they've made the calculation, in a distorted way. Yeah. Okay, a very distorted way. Be it that they and this is what we find with depressed people. Sorry, I'm getting into psychology a little bit. No. But they have very distorted perceptions of the future, about their ability to leave the future, their ability to leave the future situation that they anticipate that would be characterizing the rest of their life. They very much underestimate their capacity for change. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of distortions at play. I forgot exactly which ones are relevant. But these are key characteristics of that sort of stuff. And it's really difficult to recognize that they're distortions if you're in that state of mind. It's really, really, really difficult.
Yeah, because Oh, sorry. I'll wait for you to finish.
Oh yeah, and also I was going to say that in combination of like neurochemical stuff, like serotonin deficiencies and stuff like that, like your brain is literally lacking the reward system that would make you find value in things and therefore like find meaning in those things eventually.
Yeah.
When you combine all of that, I think most people are here on the spectrum in terms of like how poopy things are and like, I mean, in terms of like, how objectively poopy the situation it is. And a lot of it's just like mental perception.
Yeah.
That's not to say that it's invalid, but it's simply the fact that they are stuck in a really terrible time by like really vicious thought loops and like neurochemical, processes. Whereas if they address that, they wouldn't realize that if they had addressed those things, then they would kind of be able to kind of gauge where they are on that spectrum a little bit more clearer.
Yeah.
And they probably wouldn't be down at the areas where like
people would like
self-deletion is actually like a reasonable option.
Yeah, exactly. No, I actually 100% agree on that. Yeah, because like what I was gonna ask was because for people that do unfortunately like end up ending their lives and things, it's like to someone that isn't in a state of mind where they're severely depressed or anxious, it seems kind of odd that someone would choose to end their life, right? But because like I'm just thinking of what you said before about it being a distorted way of thinking. To an outside observer, it would be like it just seems illogical, right? Like why would you want to end your own life? But because they're not in that frame of mind of someone with that does choose to end their life. So like for example, let's say someone with a lot of meaning, someone with a really good life, like happy family, really good job, everything, and versus someone with severe depression or anxiety that doesn't that can't find meaning according to their worldview. And it was a process. Like maybe they tried really hard before, maybe they didn't. But a series of events led them to want to, end their life, right? But to the happy person, it would seem disordered because they haven't gone through the exact, and maybe in the exact same circumstances. Yeah. The happy person would end up just like
100%. I believe they would.
So it's just so. Yeah, because like a lot of people think it's like a one and done decision. Like, I'm not feeling good. Maybe I'm gonna.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to be like I don't want to sound condescending and make it seem as though the people who are in that situation, these are like as if I were in that situation, I would be rise above it. And that is so wrong.
No,
it's so wrong. Like it's absolutely not the case. Yeah. But I just don't think that people in that situation have the capacity to dissociate from their thoughts.
Exactly.
And they treat their thoughts as like a living reality that's going to exist into the future for the rest of their lives. That's what the loops do to you. Those cognitive loops of just thinking in these really self-detrimental patterns that project a life destiny. That if I was in that situation and I saw that, I'm going to feel the same way as well.
Exactly.
So it's reasonable under the circumstances of their thinking, but it's difficult to break those cycles of thinking and
it's very hard.
But it's possible. It's definitely possible. And that's why it's like sad to me because like I don't know, I'm ranting about this a little bit.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
But I like as I said, there is a spectrum at which self-deletion is actually understandable.
Yep.
If someone destroyed everything about me, everything that I know, and the whole world was destroyed, like obviously there's some situations where it's understandable. But I just don't think most people are able to gauge appropriately where they are on that spectrum, because they aren't able to dissociate from their thoughts and understand where they could be if they broke the cycle of those thoughts. But anyway.
I definitely agree with that.
This has become a mental health podcast.
I was going to say we should change the topic to mental health.
I mean, it's because I've been thinking about it a little bit lately, just in my practice and whatnot. It's quite interesting to me.
Very good points. And you explained that well.
Yeah, well, we can. It sounds so like superficial now to move on to the next topic.
I know.
Let's continue.
Okay, if you're happy to continue.
Very much happy.
Yeah, because the next topic, we've had experience in this area, so we've done the three of the big purely like schools of thought philosophy.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to do more, I'd say, maybe more relevant things, like relevant philosophy. So I want to talk about the Abrahamic religions now.
Okay.
So when I mean, Abrahamic religions such as like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Are they the main three?
Yeah. And the philosophical ideologies that they have and what the impacts on society.
Okay.
In terms of that. So
talk to me.
I think you and most of your viewers know a lot about Abrahamic religions and the philosophical ideology from that.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with like Islam and
I don't know too. Like I know a little bit about Islam, not much about Judaism, and Christianity obviously.
Yeah.
But I'd say like I'm just talking. I'm not gonna get too much into it. I'll just talk about the philosophy behind it.
Sure.
So for Abrahamic religions, it's like obviously it comes from God. Like they call it God. Sorry. Like I'm talking about like the
they
core.
Call it God.
When I say it, I mean like their philosophical code. Or moral system or whatever you want to call it.
I actually understood what you were saying.
But the way of thinking. Sorry, I don't want to offend any Abrahamic religious people. But so I'm just gonna say it's pretty straightforward because like everything good and moral comes from God. So it's pretty. So the framework of each of those three religions is based on what God likes or doesn't like. What says is right and what isn't right.
Yeah.
You
go ahead.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, it just suffers from the same is-ought problem that I was discussing before.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
Like if God was if God was able to objectively prescribe a moral system, for example, and say that this is objectively a moral system, that still doesn't solve the issue of whether people should abide by that moral system. That's just a description. You can't jump from a prescription you can't jump to a prescription, what people should do, from a description, which is an idea of a description, just like you know what I mean when I say description? Yeah. So it's like basically saying something is objectively true is a descriptive statement about the world. Okay. And so, saying that people should do something is a prescriptive statement, which is saying that people are obligated to do a certain thing. I don't think you can jump from the prescription from the description. And I think not only that, but if God were to be able to create a moral system, I think that already suffers from the idea of subjectivity there as well, because if he created it, then that means it's subject to his design, and that means it's inherently subjective. And if he didn't create it, then
there's something external to God.
It's independent, it's external.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is, I think that's just a huge problem. What do you think?
I think that makes a lot of sense, because it's also like, what's very confusing is like in terms of Abrahamic religions, is the fact that if God determines what's right and wrong, can he himself do right and wrong? Can he himself do things that he says are right and wrong? Because if something is wrong or something is right, if something is wrong because it goes against God and his design, then we shouldn't do it according to Christianity. But if something is good according to God's design, then we should do it. Yeah. Right? Like according to, if you are operating under that framework. Yeah. But the thing is, in many like if we're looking at the Bible, I'm just going to use the Bible as an example.
Go ahead, yeah.
It's really confusing because it's like, so for example, killing is wrong. Yeah. Because it's, and why? Yeah, you can still say why according to Christianity, because it's taking, you're ending a life that was made by God or whatever. But God also kills in the Bible, the firstborn in Egypt, or as an example, takes away life intentionally, which we would call murder. Yeah. But if a person does it, you can say, oh, that's murder. It's a sin. Yeah. It goes against God's design. And everything. And then you say, but then, I'm sure if God does it, then it's fine. And I've heard the argument that, but he's the author of life. He can take it away. Things like that, but it's still a bit of a contradiction, and this is what the contradiction is. By having a soul being as the author of, the moral code and something and legal code of society, when they go against that, is it still like is it still moral, or I won't use the word you can't apply legal terms to a religious figure, but yeah, like that, that's my question. Like, to sum it all up, yeah, if it's wrong when we do it, is it still wrong with God? Like, can he go against his own design?
Yeah.
Because if he can, then if he's allowed to do it and we can't,
Yeah.
Under Abrahamic philosophy, then it's not objective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If God were able to do that,
Yeah.
it would require the idea that the morality is subjective.
Yeah.
That's divine command theory, if anyone doesn't know it. Divine command theory is the idea that things are only moral or immoral because God commanded it to be that way.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, it's inherently subjective. That means he's able to break that.
Yeah.
Which is, if you're able to break it, then it's subjective.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's
a
requirement.
And that's exactly,
That's the thing. If it was objective, then he didn't create it.
Yeah.
If he can't break it. Or I've heard the argument that he can create it. He's created morality. It's objective, and now he can't break it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, like, what that even means for that to be the case. But then he's not omnipotent in that case.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing with people who say he created logic, but he can't break it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, yeah.
Go ahead.
I know what you mean by that. Yeah. So I'll try and because I want to try and stick to philosophy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things we can talk about just in terms of what you just
100%.
said. But yeah, purely from a philosophical standpoint, because like I said before, let's just think if everyone in society followed the moral code or philosophical code of Abrahamic religions, then I don't know how it would look. Because I mean, like, a lot of people say, it gives a sense of community and charity and gives people something to believe in, things like that. But also, I would say that there's a lot of detriment. There would be a lot of detriment.
Okay, what's the detriment?
And what I mean by that is, with what we've talked about so far, like stoicism, existentialism, all the things we've talked about already, they're purely just ideologies, right? But when you bring a concept like God into it, like that's someone who's or something that's actively involved. Whereas ideologies are just, you can follow them or not. There's no real,
there's no personhood there. There's an idea.
Yeah, exactly. So you can choose to agree with it or disagree with it.
Yeah.
And there is kind of a code for the concepts we've already talked about.
Yeah.
And you could argue that it's the same for religion, but something is a concept as grand as like an all-powerful, all-knowing creator that's actively involved in the world today. First of all, people have to prove that, and second of all, like it's. I'll try and say this properly. Like, it could lead to a lot of confusion for a lot of people, and what I mean by examples of that would be
specify.
Yeah, sorry. An example of that would be, because I don't know, like saying that, everyone has to operate under the idea that God exists, and follow the philosophy of Christianity. But, that could be twisted. And I'm like, this is just personally what I think. I'm not saying this applies to everyone, but I personally, something like the Bible, which people say is like a moral code. It's still very vague when it comes to, and a lot of things like in the Bible don't really apply to society today.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, it's been used, like Christianity itself has been used to justify oppression, violence.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of things like, look at the Crusades or the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah.
But the thing is, under that philosophy, I'm sure people like Christian soldiers in the Crusades or, Catholics killing non-Catholics in the Spanish Inquisition, they were operating under the framework that what they were doing was right and good, even though you can't really say,
okay.
Yeah, no one would say it's good to kill anyone for not believing in something. Yeah.
And what's the issue with that?
Yeah, so the issue with that is that because you're...
sorry, this is devil's advocate here. I wasn't...
Okay,
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. The issue with that is, by adhering to fundamentalist interpretations. It's interpreted. That's why there's 44,000 Christian denominations. So it's all based on interpretation of what people think God wants. So because of these different interpretations, it can lead to violence, oppression, and injustice.
Yeah.
Which is what I'd say, because everyone thinks, you've heard the saying, like, put 10 Christians in a room, you'll get 10 different versions of Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, so that's why I'd say it's a detriment, because it's such a vague thing that they're referring back to.
There's so much.
Everyone insert, like, whether they're aware of it or not, they'll insert their subjective interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But because they think they're right, because they think, I'm following God, I can do whatever I want.
Exactly, right. So there's two things there. There's the inability to come to an agreement or a consensus about exactly the way the Bible is intended to be written.
Yeah.
Because it's circular. Anyone who's able to say, I've got the correct opinion on the Bible would need to appeal to something. And usually what they appeal to is something that was said in the Bible, which is circular, right?
Which is literally circular.
Exactly. Yeah. So if someone says, I've got the, I believe it's the Catholic Church says that, St. Peter was the first pope, and he was given traditional, so church teaching comes from both the Bible and also church tradition, the combination of those two things. And so if we were to ask the question of like, okay, well, what it's part of the Catholic Church, this idea of infallibility when it comes to the interpretation of the Bible. So it's like, where did that come from? Where did that infallibility come from? How do you know that your interpretation is absolutely correct? Typically what they would do is they would appeal to something like a quote from the Bible, which is like Jesus saying, I gave you the keys to the kingdom, stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly what the quote would be, but either way, if it comes from the Bible, it's by definition circular. And if it was something like tradition, which is like, that's why I know that my interpretation is correct, is because Jesus said it to Peter, who said it to this person, who said it to that. Well, that's a kind of a big game of Chinese whispers there.
I was going to say,
a little bit
exactly
risky.
Like Chinese whispers. It was like, I got told by him who told me.
Exactly. Which is a problem. It is a problem.
It is a problem. And that's what I meant. Like, it's just so vague and a lot of the time contradictory, I'd say. Like, in terms of, like God saying, don't kill, and then
and also as part of what you said though, because you said that there's also the part of like when people also believe that they're being commanded by God, which gives them like this, I guess, this air of infallibility, I guess, where it's like I'm doing the morally righteous thing. And there is no room. There is no room for conversation to kind of to moderate that, bring that feeling down, because in order to have that conversation, you would have to first break the principle that of infallibility, which is the idea that everything they believe is infallible, that it can't be challenged. And that's not to say that religious people aren't able to be challenged.
No.
But it's just to say that you can't have that conversation until they consider the possibility of very key and core kind of held beliefs about their religion to be possibly false. And that's really cognitively taxing for someone to think. So this is why most people don't engage in that. And it's understandable. If you lived your whole life.
If you I mean, like, some people, it's just like that. That's why the term religious fundamentalism exists.
Exactly.
Because if it's their fundamental basis for everything they think and do and the way they act, then to criticize that, or to like, and some people like even attack that fundamental belief.
You're attacking everything. You're attacking everything.
You're attacking everything about their character, and it's really hard for them to just think about anything.
Well, I'm not insulting that.
No.
I don't think anyone is.
Like, I mean, like religion does bring, like Abrahamic religions do bring a lot of benefits to people, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Of course. It's just troubling to have a debate.
It's very, but also what I mean is that because their beliefs are sometimes so unshakable and like you said, they believe it's infallible, it can't be criticized when they do
for church teaching.
In terms of church teaching. But when it is criticized, or when they do receive any form of questioning or criticism, it can allow them to justify a lot of terrible things that they've either said or done to people. Because in their head, they're still sticking to what they believe God wants. Even though you could argue, even though there might be visible, like, harm towards someone,
Yeah, because it's like a chain, right? So because God is the author of all things, because God is the author of the Bible, because the Bible says this, therefore I'm able to do this thing with infallibility.
Yep.
And so if you were to argue that one particular action that they're doing is wrong, I'm not saying for all people. I'm just saying, but in order to have that conversation, they wouldn't be able to directly challenge just that action. They would have to challenge get out of here. They wouldn't be able to challenge just the action specifically. They'd have to challenge everything preceding it.
Exactly.
Which is like, because God is infallible and because he commanded this, therefore this action is morally righteous. But now if you disprove that the action is morally righteous, that's not just disproving that. That's disproving the concept of infallibility, which causes everything to go into
everything about it,
which is distressing. It's difficult. And I can understand why it's a really hard conversation to have. And a lot of people can engage in good faith debates and stuff, but it's scary.
It is very scary to a lot of people because to attack their fundamental belief system, but there's also a lot of harm in making it a fundamental moral operating system. But and what I mean by that is that because Abrahamic religions, they say Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, a lot of them say this is the true religion, right? And so you have to operate under the response that it's the true religion. And but if just within, I could even say I was going to say just the three of them, they're all so different from each other, but they all claim to be the true one. And you can even go a bit further and say within Christianity itself, there's 44,000 denominations worldwide, but they all think that they're the right one. And and I feel like that's a really harmful way of thinking. By thinking, by having a belief that you think is immune to criticism, that in itself is quite harmful. Because like I said before, things like existentialism, stoicism, all that, those are just ideologies. So they're meant to be critiqued and agreed or disagreed with. But something, for a religious fundamentalist, it can't be they think that what they believe is the right thing.
Also, the difference is if I'm an existentialist and someone critique that, causing me to not become an existentialist, nothing significantly changed that much.
Exactly.
Because that's a discussion of where the meaning came from. Okay, well, maybe I was a hardcore, but when it comes to religions, those are kind of prescriptive things that tell you where your meaning comes from.
Exactly.
And so that's why it's particularly challenging for when a particular religion is challenged. And look, it's not my place to say that a religion is right or wrong. It's not my place. I can make arguments about that. But typically I don't enjoy doing it with people of that religion because it's, we're dealing with something that is so inherent and core to them. Not inherent, but it's so core to their identity and to the way they value to their value system, to the way they go about the world. And I think it's I don't enjoy the process of trying to tear that down.
But that's not your intention.
It's not my intention. I guess what I want to do is to do it. I want people to live with integrity in a sense. So it's to believe, to act in accordance with what they believe. And to form those beliefs in good faith. Not from a particular kind of thing that told you to believe one sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think you agree with that.
Definitely.
We're not
I was going to say there's a disagreement there, but but I think we should
have a little tickle fight here, just tickling each other.
We'll do that after, if you want. I mean just to add on to that, because let's just, we can do the same thing that we did for all the other ideologies. If everyone was
that thing,
so if everyone, let's just say, if everyone was a Christian.
Okay, let's go the other hand though. What about the other way around? What if everyone was an atheist and nihilist?
We're talking about Abrahamic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, we could change it.
Because that's the opposite. That's kind of involved with that. What about if no one was an Abrahamic? But we can...
If no one operated under an Abrahamic philosophical framework.
Do you have that as part of the notes?
Yeah.
Nihilism and or atheism as well?
not specifically atheism, but I do talk.
We should target that at some point.
Well, I mean, like the next topic is Dharmic religion, so like religion from the East, which is very different to Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
But if you just want to jump straight to that, we can.
Because, well, I feel like another huge thing to tackle would be the lack of religion, because that's also
we can talk about that
a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to follow like everything to a T.
Okay.
But yeah.
What do you think about that?
So I feel like a lack of religion. I feel like we have talked because it's basically existentialism. There's no objective meaning, or there's no objective thing to give you meaning.
Okay.
So it's up to you to create it yourself.
Yeah.
And like we already said, I'm pretty sure it's the same. It'll be the same as existentialism.
Okay.
Because if there's no higher power or higher authority to appeal to or confide in or operate under, then it's up to the individual to create their own meaning, which is existentialism. And like we already said, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. And like we already said, a lot of people would like that or would do well under that, and some people wouldn't because it's a big burden to undertake, to create meaning in your own life.
Yeah.
So I feel like for religious people, or people under the Abrahamic religions, that stress of being an existentialist, they wouldn't have that, because if they are a practicing religious person, they don't have to worry about that, about not having meaning in life, because, they find meaning in God, which they believe doesn't have an ending or beginning or whatever. Yeah. So, but like either way, like they believe he's always there, so they'll never have to worry about not having meaning at any point in their life.
That's true. I think
if they did operate under that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who struggle with meaning often find a lot of comfort in religion, because it's like whereas my inability to find and search for these meaning in like the everyday world, absent of a God, why that pursuit and that search might come up futile. There is a God who designed me, who has an afterlife ready for me. Yeah. Insofar as I do these particular deeds and love him and come to know him, like that is a very simple and very appealing message.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can definitely understand why. Abrahamic religion, it's Christianity, for example. It's very appealing.
Yeah.
There's a guy who loved you so much that he died for you. Just believe in him, you'll go to heaven, and you'll be happy forever. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And, it does sound. That's sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say, just believe. That's just like a basic view.
I think.
But either way, that there's a it's pretty.
100%.
It could be pretty soothing and appealing to say, the person who made the stars, or not person, the being that made the stars and
designed
everything
you for a purpose.
He created and he loves you. Yeah, obviously, people are gonna. Yeah. People would find comfort and meaning in that, and that's really good that people do.
Yeah, I think human beings are very much ontological creatures. Is the word ontological? Yeah. Ontological. Yeah. Teleological creatures. Sorry.
Ontological.
I meant teleology.
Following back. Sorry, no. We're ontological. You mean following back to where something.
No, that's another thing. Yeah. I meant teleological, and that means we tend to prescribe meaning to things, even when there's any when we're absent of evidence that something caused that thing to exist. For example, so for example, if something in this room happened to change in appearance or something like that, or that's a bad example. If something happens in the world, most human beings will tend to label that as being caused by someone or something. We have a lot of intentionality in the way we think. There were some studies done on teleological thinking. Thinking in humans. I just want to make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing. No. But basically it's the idea that we attribute phenomena in the world to purpose, goals, and intentions. It comes from the word telos, from the Greek, which means end or goal. And it's human bias to assume that things happen for a reason or a purpose. And so what better way sorry, an example of this is like, this is a good example, sorry. Trees gives us oxygen so we can breathe. So it sounds like the tree exists for us.
I've heard this before. Yeah.
Yeah, so we tend to frame these things in such a way where it's like the tree exists for us. There's a purpose and design. Like, whereas I would say the tree just, it wasn't designed in any such way.
It just happens to be that way.
Yeah, even because it happens to be that way, humans like to attribute this design. And what better way is there to apply that to our entire lives than to come up with the idea of a God? Well, I assume, because that's like a designer, and that's a very simplistic and very kind of appealing way that really resonates with the way our human psyche just evolved and exists. Like, where we want to see meaning. We want to see things as kind of designed. That's the way we're kind of programmed to see things.
Yeah, I mean, you see that all the time. I mean, ever since humans have been around, that's why there's like, I mean, humans, like 5,000 years ago, thought that lightning was Zeus throwing.
Exactly.
But like now we know that it's,
Exactly.
But they were attributing a natural phenomenon to something that they thought to be supernatural.
That's a very unique human bias.
I was going to say because it happens in pretty much every culture.
Exactly. Throughout history, exactly.
I mean, I know some hardcore atheists that would call that the God of the gaps argument, but that kind of has a negative connotation to it.
I mean, I think it is partly that argument.
It's almost like it's pretty much just like it is that. Like,
exactly.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know how that works. So therefore, it must be God.
Yeah, I guess the point is that it exists. It is mirrored in like the psychological evolution of human beings. Like we are psychologically evolved to find design in things, and so because it's so, I guess, like in line with the way we were evolved, perhaps that's why it's so popular. I mean, that's one reason, but there's many other reasons.
Like we'll need another episode.
100%.
Just talk about
100%. Like where it came from.
But
this came from like discussing what would be the implication of the world being atheist, and I think there is a lot of nuance there as well.
I think no, there definitely would be.
Like, to play devil's advocate, well, how would you stop someone who is an atheist and says, okay, there's nothing to hold me to account now, so I'm just going to kill whatever I want.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if there's no, unlike, religious philosophies or anything, like, there's no specific code that atheists live by.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, there's no atheist Bible or atheist.
Let's write one. I'm kidding. But
You're
right,
Yeah, so, like, every atheist probably has a different moral framework.
So atheism's a negative belief. It's not like a positive.
It's just like it's a
an
lack,
absence of a belief.
It's a lack of belief. It's not a belief.
Not a positive thing. Yeah.
It's like saying, I mean, like, do you believe in aliens or like you?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Oh, you do. Okay.
No.
Like genuinely, do you believe?
I don't. Well, I don't. No. Let's say ghosts.
Okay, fine, ghosts. Yeah. Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't say you're a ghostist. Would that be the term?
I wouldn't say a ghost. You know what I? I wouldn't.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like
It's like saying, or I'll give you a better example. Like like saying atheism is a belief system or religion is like saying that, like, the TV being off is a channel.
Yeah.
Or like sitting or like not playing basketball is a sport.
Yeah, it's like why would I don't believe in like the let's talk. I don't believe in the great umbrella deity who reigns from above. It's called umbrella Astrianism.
Yeah,
we created it in high
throwback.
school.
I remember it. Actually, we should start that up.
Yeah,
like
umbrella
every raindrop is the soul of it.
But I don't. Yeah, but because we don't believe in that, we don't need a label for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think because theism is just so pertinent in society that we needed a label for the lack of belief.
But to respond to your question, like, it's hard to say what atheism would look like because it just means a lack of belief. It's just like saying society now minus the religious aspect. Yeah, that's what it would look like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think there are some really interesting implications as well to what it would mean to be atheist and broadly in society. Broadly and societally, I don't think it would go as well as I would anticipate.
Yeah, I was gonna say because
Because
there's still good people and bad people.
Yes.
Regardless of religion.
And not only that, but human beings, like, sometimes people just need, like, a very simplistic worldview to operate off.
Yeah, to operate on that.
Otherwise, it's just things become too complicated and difficult. Go ahead. Let's move on.
No, and that's exactly what I was saying with
existentialism.
Yeah, you're right. Like, some people need that simple moral framework
that
comes from religion. Otherwise, the pressure's all on them.
Yeah.
And that's too much pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, but I think we talked enough about Abrahamic religions. It was very interesting points you brought up as well.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Let's keep going.
Wait,
jump scare. Determinism. No, kidding.
Trigger warning, at least.
Trigger warning. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
So now I'll talk about the Dharmic religions, which is religions like Hinduism, like typically found in Eastern countries. Like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism. I don't know much about Jainism. I do know a little bit about Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. Like one of my really close friends is Sikh. And
Sikh?
Yeah. He's pretty
nice.
Sikh. Yeah.
Nice.
I was going to say that, like, these kinds of religions are definitely more philosophical, which is why I probably find them more appealing.
Right.
Because they have a strong... Because, like, with Abrahamic religions, like we talked about, the main focus is on right and wrong according to what God thinks.
Yeah.
But with Dharmic religions, from what I know, I don't want to offend any people who are actually, like, fully Hindu and fully Sikh and everything. It's just based on what
Sikh, bro.
Yeah, but it's more like the focus is on less on making God happy or angry and more on, like, fulfilling your duty, being ethical, which gives them a really strong framework. That's why, like, obviously, like, they still believe in, Sikhs still believe in God. Hindus still believe in their God.
Yeah.
But the main focus is on how they act.
Rather than appealing to,
the higher powers that they believe in.
Yeah. The framing is interesting because I don't think I know you don't mean this, but I don't think all Catholics or Christians are just acting purely to make their God happy.
Oh yeah,
but it's more nuanced.
Yeah,
that's
not what I meant.
I'm sure. I'm just saying that for clarity because I know that I'm just
that's fine.
Get roasted in the comments.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. You weren't saying anything wrong.
No, just being. Actually, it's good that you clarify. But I was gonna say so the karma, like a lot of people talk about karma and everything, but that's a Hindu concept. What you do, what you put out into the universe will come back to you, kind of thing. I'd say so what would you think society would look like if everyone operated under that?
How about you go first?
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, actually, no, I'll finish I'll give a more clearer definition. So we talked about, sense of duty, karma. But they also put a really strong importance on the spiritual aspect of things. It's like meditating. Meditation is very common, yoga, things like that. A detachment from material pleasures and desires is also quite common. And that's something, it's not really common in Abrahamic religions, I'd say. It's not as prevalent in Abrahamic religions, I'd say. Or would you agree? Detachment from the physical desires and physical world and everything.
I don't think it's a foundational concept of the religion, but we do have I know growing up Catholic, I know that we had the idea of I think it's poverty. I'm not sure if that's the correct virtue but being able to be detached from earthly materials. I think it's a very pertinent concept across many religions. I'm sure most religions wouldn't say that. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that that's the foundational philosophy of those Abrahamic religions. I think that you're right. It's more dharmic. It's more of a dharmic.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good because I can give an example. Hindus believe in karma, things like that.
Yeah.
So they act according to that.
Yeah.
So they believe if they do good will come back to them.
Yeah.
Which you could say in a society where everyone does that would be pretty good. And with Sikhism, I don't really know much about their philosophy, but I have because one of my close friends is Sikh. So I actually went to like his like the Sikh temple with him once, like just because I was curious, and he was happy to show me around, and he was explaining what they believe in and everything. And it's really interesting because at the temple that he attends, and I went there with him. There's a prayer room where people can give their respect to God. I'm pretty sure it's still a monotheistic religion.
Okay.
But in terms of their practices, they align with the Dharmic philosophy more because underneath the temple there was a kitchen, right? And there were cooks there making like really, really nice, like smelling and tasting food. And so we went there after he attended his prayer service. And they just went there, just picked up a tray, and then they were serving him food. And I was like, okay, so is this part of the part of your religion? And he said, so what Sikhs believe in, apparently in every Sikh temple, there's a 24-hour, I don't know if it's 24 hours, I think in some places it's limited. Mostly it's 24 hours, like a 24-hour kitchen. And anyone, you don't have to be Sikh.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, you can go in and get a free meal, like no questions asked kind of thing.
Oh.
And also like...
All right, let's convert.
Yeah. I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. No, and then also he said, he was explaining to me how it works. And he said that usually in Sikh temples, there's like a bunch of rooms, and anyone that needs accommodation for any reason, whether it's, like fleeing violent circumstances or homelessness even, he said it's the duty of the Sikhs to give them a meal and give them a room for however long they need it. Like, no questions asked, which is I was very like pleasantly surprised that that's a really good, belief to operate under. But so he operates under those kinds of beliefs. Which is, so I don't know if they specifically believe in karma, but it's a similar, you can see the Dharmic concepts. They're providing good to other people, whoever that needs it, free of charge.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're expecting it, if they believe it'll come back. But, but if they do, regardless of that, if everyone operates under that framework, I'm not saying everyone needs to convert or anything, but I'm just thinking, it's a pretty good framework to operate under.
The thing is, you would have to rely on everyone operating under that framework, which just doesn't account for...
No, I mean, I just mean this for the sake of the argument. Like, what if everyone...
What if everyone...
This is still a what if scenario.
Okay, hypothetically, that's...
What do you think it would look like if everyone had that mindset?
The question is interesting because when we deal in hypotheticals, almost every conversation changes.
100%.
For example, if we deal in hypotheticals, democracy is no longer the best form of government. It's actually a monarchy with one benevolent leader. If the benevolent leader wasn't corrupt, and they were a perfect leader, that would be the best form of government, right? So when you introduce like a hypothetical where everyone is like ideal, if you say that everyone is like an ideal kind of member of that religion, if it were the case that everyone was like that, sure, that would be incredible. But I think that's just kind of just like, I don't think humans, like more broadly, I don't think we would be able to create a system like that. So it's a very interesting kind of hypothetical conversation, but not really a practical one, I would say. But what do you think about that? I mean, that's what I think. Okay.
That's true. And sorry, I also got to talk about, I spent like the last 5 minutes glazing Dharmic religions, but I do have to talk about, the negatives if it was applied everywhere.
Go ahead.
So a lot of, while it is good, things like concepts like karma and everything, because they strongly believe in detachment from the physical world. Like, I mean, the physical world still has its appeals, going to nature. I don't know. I mean, I don't really go outside much, but
except, I can't say the names of the client. I was about to.
Like also, and they believe in like suffering is inevitable.
Okay.
So like things like suffering, death, like it's common in Buddhism. You can't escape the cycle of suffering, things like that.
Yeah.
And while that is, I mean, it is true. Like everyone suffers at some point, and everyone dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could lead to a kind of fatalistic worldview.
Yeah.
If everyone operated under that framework, it could still lead to, like, some people might see it as some people might just give up and say, oh, there's no point because everyone's going to die and suffer anyway. So that could, in terms of societal implications, like things like people fighting for equality or people fighting against social issues or community issues that impact a large group of people. Some people might not have the drive because they might think, oh, there's no point because we're all going to suffer and die anyway. Yeah. That's just what I think in terms of
So that's a potential negative.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I think either a religion or a philosophy or a value system, if it were to be a really good, holistic and very comprehensive system, it should account for things like suffering. And each religion has a different answer for it. Each philosophy has a different answer for it. And I think suffering is the biggest question. It's the thing. I reckon if you were to poll people about what drove them away from a particular religion or what drove them to a religion, typically the answers are going to revolve around suffering. Whether that religion alleviated some sort of suffering or if it explained that sort of suffering in a way that was meaningful to them. Either way, people are trying to make sense of this thing of suffering. Like, where is it coming from? Why does it exist? And I think it's super important. And I think you're right to bring it up as part of the Dharmic kind of religion about, what they say about it and like what's the potential negative and downside of that particular view. Sorry.
I don't know why there's a photo. It just randomly came up.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. Okay. I
have no idea
so random.
where that came.
But the problem of suffering is so interesting to me. And one of my biggest things that I've thought about is how do I make sense of it and account for it and still have meaning as someone who doesn't believe in any of those religions. So it's like, where does that come from? That's a different conversation. But I think that area of suffering is huge. What do you think about it?
Yeah, definitely. It is hard to explain why, or like what benefit there is in suffering. Because you're right. It varies from religion to religion and person to person. Yeah. But I don't know. I haven't really thought. The only thing, I mean, I'm not like my way of thinking is similar to yours. Like then, when I was a practicing religious person, I'd say, okay, like suffering it was pretty easy to understand why. When I went through suffering, because I just rationalized it by saying, oh, it's it could be punishment for the sins that I committed, or I don't know, like it's making up for something else I did. Like there's a supernatural reason.
There's a design. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, there's a reason.
It's not just aimless, circumstantial, chance-based suffering.
But now that I don't have that framework of thinking anymore, I don't know. I don't really think about it much. The only thing I would say, there are some aspects of the Dharmic philosophy that I personally adhere to. Like as in, like you can't avoid suffering. Eventually, you are going to have some form of suffering or inconvenience or anything. Any form of pain. But I'm not sure how I do rationalize it. I don't really think that there's a meaning to it.
To the suffering. No one designed it for a particular reason.
No one designed it for a purpose. But because a lot of instances, like when I think of times that were like pretty bad personally, like I did learn a lesson from it, and did like contribute to who I am like now. But so I suppose that could be a meaning, like saying if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have learned this lesson. So that's how I try and look at suffering now.
Yeah, well, it sounds cliche, but I think the greatest examples of what I find meaningful is found in the depths of human suffering.
Like
definitely. Courage and fortitude. A mom hugging her child and I was providing for a child despite the fact that she's a single mother working 16 different jobs or whatever. Giving everything to that child, or those moments of the moments where like we really feel loved, the moments where I really feel even like for a concept like love, you know, love is a self-sacrificial concept. I mean, it's not technically, but I think to have like the times where I feel the most loved is when someone sacrificed something for me. Either my mum sacrificed her time, someone sacrificed their emotional well-being to cater for me, something like that. That's when we feel love the most. It's when there's an element of suffering involved. And comfort is only made. You only feel comfort in the presence of discomfort. You only feel courageous in the presence of a particular threat. So every virtue is predicated on some sort of the existence of suffering. And so I can understand why it's there. The thing is when it gets gratuitous.
I was going to, that was going to be my question. Like, are there instances in your life, well, you don't have to like give any specifics or anything. But would you agree that either yourself or anyone, would you say that there are times where you have experience an unnecessary amount of suffering?
Oh, of course. Of course.
And that's what I mean. Like there's a certain level, and this is why it's very difficult for me to believe in.
This is a theistic argument. This is where we're going. The problem of suffering. But go ahead.
Because I mean, like I'm just saying, like there are some instances where I've gone through what I think is an unnecessary amount, and a lot of the times I don't really learn anything from it. It was just
pure suffering.
Pure suffering, and which was terrible. And I always thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll learn something from it. But like as far as I know now, I still haven't learned anything from particular instances. But I would say like I had the same question like for you. Like so do you think, even now looking back, if you can think of any instance, you don't have to say it, but like would you say that it was purely suffering and nothing else?
No, this is the thing. I definitely think there were times of just dumb suffering, of where it's like unnecessary amounts. But I also don't want to say that my philosophy warrants the idea that we can't do anything about it or find meaning. No. I don't believe that.
I'm definitely not saying that. I'm not saying we can't do anything. A lot of the times, like the instances I'm thinking about, like it only stopped because I did something.
Well, but I think even people draw their cap at where they can find meaning out of suffering much lower where it potentially could be. So there's, as I mentioned before about you being, if you were just a being that existed in a little box and you're being squished for the rest of your life, that is a cap for suffering that I think is just blind and dumb, and I think that's ridiculous, and there's no meaning that can be found from that. But I reckon if you go down that spectrum of suffering, there's a point at which you can find meaning in all that suffering, and I think people are drawing the line much lower where it could be. Could be. That's not to say that all forms of suffering you can find meaning out of. But I just think that most people aren't finding this amount of suffering. Sorry, the amount of meaning that they could from their suffering, right? But that's a topic for a separate conversation. But this is why it gets really complicated for the idea of a God. Because in order to believe in an omnibenevolent God, a God who isn't able to commit any wrong or is perfect, all you need to do is cite one instance of where suffering was excessive or gratuitous. That's all you need to do.
Exactly.
And that immediately disqualifies the idea of an omnibenevolent God. Immediately. And I think it's just so easy to do that. Which is so difficult for...
because I mean, that's also a very personal thing, because some people, like, I know for a fact that, like, anything I've gone through is nowhere near as bad as, I don't know, like a struggling refugee overseas that's escaped gunshots and everything, right? But, like, the thing with suffering is that it's also relative.
It's perceptual.
You know? Exactly.
That's why people who get traumatized, it's not the event itself that determines whether or not you're traumatized. It's how you respond to it. It's a person's perceptual experience of that event.
But I'd say, it's the same thing. Like, it's very hard to appeal, like, to see an objective reason, whether it's from God or the universe or whatever, because there's just so many instances. You're right, all you need is one instance of unnecessary suffering,
and then it's just done.
I wouldn't necessarily say it like just that would disprove God, but it would be a good argument against
Well, it would disprove the omnibenevolent nature of God, wouldn't it? Because in order to be
I don't know if it would disprove it.
All right. Yes, disagreement.
It could disprove
Finally.
it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, because first you have to define what omnibenevolent means.
So I think a characteristic of omnibenevolent means all perfect in terms of like morally perfect. I think implicit in that description of God being all perfect would be avoiding any unnecessary suffering. Because if he allowed for unnecessary suffering, I would consider that morally wrong.
Yeah.
If you had suffering that was no justification.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. But
so if you had one instance of where that suffering was unaccounted for, where it was no explanation for it, I would say that one instance is enough for you to say that he isn't all perfect.
Yeah, but
you would say he's mostly perfect.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, but then what a religious person might say is that but it's this is what I'd imagine them saying. Like when I have debated religious people, they have said this. They said but it's unnecessary according to what you think, not according to what God thinks. So if God doesn't think it's unnecessary, like let's just say hypothetically, like God, like or whatever God you're talking about was real.
Yeah.
And you brought that up, and he claimed to be all loving or omnibenevolent, and you brought up your instance to him, and said, all right, but like this instance disproves that you're omnibenevolent, right? Yeah. And he said, no. He said, because I didn't think it was that. Yeah, I didn't think it was unnecessary.
Yeah. Well,
like how would you still try and appeal your case?
So that rebuttal, that's not objecting to the idea that all we need is one example to disprove that God isn't omnibenevolent. That's just saying I disagree that that's an example where the unnecessary suffering actually exists. Yeah. That's what you're saying. Okay. Insofar that we are able to prove with certainty that it's unnecessary, then God can't be omnibenevolent. You're right that someone may disagree that the example is an example of unnecessary suffering. Yeah. That is an interesting debate. But if we were able to prove that it was an example of unnecessary suffering, then immediately the conclusion is necessary. Yep. Someone who's all good can't be tinted by one example of unnecessary suffering. So you're right. Yeah. You're right. And so the debate comes, is that an example of unnecessary suffering? Exactly. Yeah. And usually having multiple examples usually backs up the probability that that argument holds true. For on us, if we're trying to disprove that God is omnibenevolent because of the existence of suffering, we would probably need to cite multiple examples. Yeah. But that's just to assure that at least one of those examples is correct. No, of course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I can think of like quite a few examples.
All you need is one. Yeah. But because someone might not be convinced by one, you'd probably need multiple. Yeah. That's probably what it is.
And I'm pretty sure like you just need to open any history book to find unnecessary amounts of suffering.
And the animal world, I think that's a huge one.
Yeah, I was going to say like Alex kind of said, like non-human animal suffering. Like their existence is purely just to like be born. Yeah. Like live for a couple of years and then die a horrible death at the hands of like a much larger animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like where's the meaning in right.
Well, to anyone out there who wants to challenge me in this, please do, because I'm actually really interested in this. Yeah. But I've researched. They call it the theodicy. A theodicy is a religious, the Catholic response. I'm not sure if it's Catholic or Christian, but the response to like, popular arguments against God. And for the problem of suffering, there are several ways that especially Catholics or Christians try to unify the idea of suffering and there also being an omnibenevolent God. And the way they do that is by citing three things. First of all, free will. If you are to have free will, then you have to have the possibility of committing suffering, right? Okay. Yeah. If you gave me free will as a being, that means I logically have to be able to use it to do bad things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be free. Yeah. And if I'm able to do bad things, I will entail suffering. So in order to have free will, you need to entail the possibility of suffering. So that's one explanation. The second explanation is that suffering is necessary for things like virtue, like courage, all that sort of stuff. I understand both of those, absolutely. And the third thing, I forgot the third one. I will research. No, that's right. But either way, the problem of animal suffering has, the third one might be the idea that there is some redemptive quality to the suffering as well. In terms of that there is like, people are brought together, or some greater good that is, I forgot exactly what it is. Either way, the problem of animal suffering evades both of those explanations for why
it doesn't apply to animals.
Because animals don't have,
free will.
the free will.
Yeah.
Animals don't have the...
they don't have the concept of
virtue or anything like that. So it's absent in them. So and suffering still exists immensely in the animal world, like across millions of years of evolutionary history. So it's like, sorry, that's my layout of the argument. If someone wants to come on and talk about it, more than happy to. And I know you already agree with that argument, but I just thought I'd clarify it for the sake of, I don't want to leave any stones unturned here.
No, that's fine.
So people in the comments go, you don't understand the problem of...
No, but like that's not the interesting thing. Actually, to add on to that train of thought, like when you said free will, right?
Yeah.
An argument I've heard a lot, and I don't know, like, because we've had many chats about things like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've asked you this question specifically. When people, let's say a Christian who's trying to say, why don't you believe in God? You say, I've never seen the evidence or whatever. And then they say, right, what would it take to convince you to believe in God?
Yeah.
And then you say, if he revealed himself to me, that would be, then I'd have to believe or then I would believe. And then they'd say...
Is that my phone?
That's your phone, yeah.
Sorry. That's right. I was going to check that it's recording as well. Sorry, people. Continue.
Anyways. What was I saying? Yeah. So
I'll cut that out.
Yeah, that's right. So if someone said, what would it take for you to be convinced, right? And then they said, okay, if God revealed himself to me, they said, but then that would be taking away your free will. I'd argue that it wouldn't, because whether or not God revealed himself to you, you'd still have a choice to believe, right? Would you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. You still have a choice to...
In good faith?
Yeah.
The word believe, I don't believe has much capacity on controlling the belief. Go ahead.
Let me clarify. Obviously, you would know that he exists if he did reveal himself to you. Yeah. But you still have a choice whether or not to follow his...
Of course.
To live his color. Because, I heard this on another podcast that I was listening to, and it was very interesting. It said, learning new information...
Wait, you're listening to a podcast? That's not mine.
Yeah. I'm
cheating on me?
Yeah, I'm podcast cheating on you. Anyway, would you say that learning... And that's interesting that a lot of Christians that I've talked with said that. They said, but then it wouldn't be free will. But, since when does learning new information take away your free will? Because if you learn something new, do you feel like your free will has been taken away or no?
No, I'm not sure how that argument holds up.
No, I was going to say, because what I mean, because they said if God reveals himself to you, you won't have any free will to follow him. You'd have to follow him. Yeah.
Oh, okay, to follow... yes.
Yeah, because...
They're saying to believe in him, though.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd know he exists.
Yeah.
If he did reveal himself. But you still choose to... Yeah, but...
I'm going to make a comment about this, but after what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm done. I was just asking.
I was going to say...
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me...
Yeah.
How people find virtue in being unsure of a belief. Like for example...
Well, that's what faith is, right?
That's exactly. Yeah. So if someone says to me that the reason why God doesn't reveal himself is because there needs to be some uncertainty as to whether he exists so that we can demonstrate faith, right?
Yeah.
All right? The way I see it is that if you are a good faith person who adjusts their belief in accordance with evidence, which is what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to the world, that means the belief that you hold should be absent of any biases, and it should be purely based on the evidence for that thing. That would mean that you're a good faith operator in this world, right? That means that whether or not you believe one thing isn't a virtue. It should be a process of just simply seeing where the evidence points towards. And so the idea that we're supposed to be left in the dark to be able to choose which side we believe, that implies that there should be ulterior motives aside from just evidence that goes into determining what we believe in that situation, which by definition makes you a bad faith kind of operator in this world when it comes to adjusting your beliefs in accordance with evidence. I mean, unless people believe that a belief should be based on anything other than just evidence, which we can discuss this in depth.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be anything aside from just evidence.
Yeah,
like what else would it be?
100% agree. Like there's literally nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like and people think, oh, think of like objections. Like if I like choose to, like, what do people say? Oh, what about choosing to love someone or something like that, or to trust in someone or something like that? I trust in them because I've determined that they haven't lied to me in the past.
Yeah.
And that I've determined that they're a good person. I've determined all these things. So these are pieces of evidence that adjust my belief in a particular direction.
There's a logical process that you followed to get to that point. Yeah.
Yes. And if I'm going to be a good faith operator, I would have to just operate on just the analysis of the evidence.
Yeah.
Anything else would be just clouding proper judgment. And I would say that it's the opposite of virtue.
Yeah, exactly.
But people see virtue in that. I don't understand that.
It's very...
Yeah, so yeah. What do you think about that?
No, I'm as flabbergasted as you are when it comes to that. 100%. Because like, what else do you have to operate on for any belief other than like evidence? It doesn't have to be hardcore, but like just any form of evidence whatsoever. Like, could you like let's say, because like on that, I'm actually, that's why I don't have much to say in response to that, because I agree with everything you said. But because it's very confusing, like the concept of faith, like just having faith. Yeah. Right? Like I don't want to offend it, but like let's say like no, but like if you like faith, the methodology of faith is not very reliable.
Okay, Matt
I know, I know, but like I know I'm quoting Matt
I'm kidding.
Who I'm not a fan of anymore, but anyway. But like
Sam.
but like it does make sense, because like if you just believe something because you have faith in it, does that mean does that make it true or not?
No, of course not.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you need? Like, so what makes something true, would you say?
What makes it... Wait, say that question again. What makes something true?
Yeah.
Whether or not it's true. Wait, what makes me more likely to believe something is true?
Let's just say you're unsure of something and you want to find out if it's right or not.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. Like let's just say, I don't know, like
any scientific inquiry.
Like pink leprechauns live in your backyard, but only on the right side, not the left side.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
As an example.
Yeah.
If two people come up to you and said, all right, I'm gonna prove to you that it's true or not true. Someone said, all right, I've got evidence, I've got this like really intricate instrument to detect, did I say leprechauns or fairies?
Leprechauns.
Yeah, leprechauns, yeah. So I'm going to use it right now to determine if there are. And if someone else just came up and said, I have faith. I said, I know for a fact, like I don't have anything else. I just have faith that there's leprechauns. Who would you be more likely to believe?
The guy who said, I have faith in the leprechauns.
Okay, good. All right. Discussion.
No, but obviously.
No, but yeah, obviously exactly. So evidence is what's needed to get to the truth.
Yeah, right? I think that's why it's kind of confusing to me when some people cite like when you're disbelieving of something and they just say, oh, you just have to believe, you just have to have
exactly.
faith.
And I was gonna say on that.
Yeah.
Because like you can't like, let's just say another hypothetical for you. Like I don't think anyone can just believe or stop believing in something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Or like within a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because let's just say like, and this is like another quote from a podcast, it's not mine, but like if there was a really accurate lie detector test, right, and I attached you to it, so everything you said, it was the most accurate thing ever. Like there was no no way it could be tampered with or anything. And I said, all right, do you believe in, I don't know, in the leprechauns in your backyard? Yeah. And he said no. And I said, all right, like, truth, right? You're telling the truth that you don't believe in it. And I said, okay, just believe. And then he said, no, I can't do that. Yeah. But then I held a gun to like your, I don't know, I threatened to kill your dog or something. That
still wouldn't change the outcome.
But you said yes. You said, yeah, I believe. It would still come up as a lie.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's why the just believe argument can't work.
Well, you've just identified that belief isn't a choice, which is Jordan Peterson-esque, because I'm going to quote just Jordan Peterson and say, I believe this is true.
Belief isn't. It's not a choice.
Well, it shouldn't be a choice. Yeah. Right. if I think you have value, then I will act in a way that will demonstrate that I have value. Let's say I thought you're a good friend of mine, but I just started punching you and like whatever. It would be quite obvious that I didn't actually believe that you're very valuable to me because I'm punching you. Your actions demonstrate your beliefs. Like,
exactly.
And that's kind of like you believe what you act out. In the same way, like if I were to say that I believe that I'm going to fail an exam tomorrow, and then I went into the exam and I was chilling and I was like, and this exam meant a lot to me. You probably didn't believe you were going to fail it, because you would be reacting in a way that's congruent with the idea that you might fail the exam. It's the same thing with every sort of kind of thing that we believe in this world. If I believe I like chocolate cake more than strawberry cake, then you'd probably see me choosing chocolate cake more often than strawberry cake. It's the same thing. Like belief isn't something we choose either. And you're right. It's like I also like to kind of equate it to preference sometimes, where someone's like,
we're getting to determinism now.
Right? But not.
No, it's good. It's like it's not a bad thing.
I'm not saying a belief is a preference, but in the same way that I say, like, actually, no, I'm not going to give that example because it's going to get too muddy. Forget about what I said about preference.
So my phone's going to die.
Is it? Okay. Well, you can connect it up actually if you want. Oh, we'll finish up soon anyway. Right. But either way, if someone says, if someone says to me, how much battery do you have?
Well, it's all right.
Okay,
We'll just keep talking. Because it has to be 2 hours anyway. Right?
Yeah, for sure. But I was going to say, if someone says to me that, if I go to someone's house, right, and their mum and their child is there, and the mum leaves the room, and there's a big chocolate cake on the table, and I walk out of the room, and I come back, and their child has got the chocolate cake in their hand, smothered all over their face. It's all over their whatever. They've got it in their mouth, everything like that. And I go up to them, I'm like, oh, did you eat that chocolate cake? And they said, no, it wasn't me. Could I convince myself that they didn't eat the chocolate cake? Could I prove to myself, could I choose to believe that they didn't eat the chocolate cake? It's the same thing as your example. I don't have the evidence for it. I can't choose to. All the evidence is pointing in a certain direction. It's the same thing as your example. But you just can't choose anything there. So anyway, so that's why I don't think it's something where we should equate virtue. Where we shouldn't associate belief with virtue. Like the idea, and that's like a huge stab in the heart of things like solo fides. The idea of belief alone gets you to heaven or whatever. I don't think most people think that's an appropriate belief anyway. But
Protestants.
Oh yeah, maybe yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, because we do have to wrap up soon.
Oh, true.
Right?
Okay. Do you have any more topics you wanted to explore?
Well, there were a couple of more philosophy, but we already talked about the main ones. I'd say let's just maybe we can end on final thoughts. Everything we've talked about.
I was going to give that little section. Right? Okay. Overall, how do you feel about the state of the world right now in terms of the religious distribution? Not just that, but the kind of pertinent philosophies that are kind of like driving society today and people. Do you think it's very positive? Is it more of a positive thing or a negative thing? What needs to be fixed in this world? How do we fix it? A lot of questions. Focus on one at a time.
No, those are very good questions, and I've actually thought about this like recently because of all the things that are happening in the world. Like over the last couple of months, it seems like, well, I can only speak for because we're in a Western society. And everything, but in the Western world at least, like it seems like a lot of people, mainly in America, are getting stronger in their conviction. Like the convictions are much stronger in what they believe in. As in, like, everyone's pretty clear about what they believe in. But which is a good thing. Like it's always good to be firm in what you believe in, because I feel like having a flimsy belief system, even if you don't believe in anything, like it's just not a good thing to have, because otherwise you're just all over the place. But so it is good that people are becoming stronger and more convicted in their beliefs. But the bad thing about that is because it seems like people are picking extremes instead of like it's either whether I'm not going to use like religious terms like left wing or right wing, or I'm not really political either, or like communist or capitalist.
The left and right is a huge one right now.
That's a huge. It's
so polarized.
And that's what's scary to see. Is that
there's no nuance.
everyone's either super left or super right, and people that aren't are heavily criticized, not taking a side. But, but to answer your question, in terms of the world, I'd say. So what were the other questions you asked? Like, what do I think of the state of the world today? And
what do you think needs to change?
Well, I think people need to be more open to ideas that not necessarily contradict, but are very different to the ones that they're used to.
Yeah.
That's why, it was interesting to me. I wasn't familiar with many of the dharmic concepts and everything until I started looking into them. And because of some of my friends that are Hinduism, and my Sikh friend, I was very pleasantly surprised with a lot of their beliefs and practices.
Yeah.
And it helped me shift my personal perspective around.
Yeah.
So I think, I think that's the main thing that needs to change. Just try and understand. You don't have to agree with it necessarily, but just explore and try and understand as many different ideologies instead of sticking to ones that feel comfortable and familiar. Because because I feel like by doing that, it helped me personally, to grow in what I believe in. So I'd say, I'm quite convicted in what I believe in now. Also, what I don't believe in. I can say I don't believe in this because of this.
It takes a lot of courage to say that.
Yeah.
To say what you don't believe in.
And I also I know my beliefs can change at any point if new evidence comes to light, and that's why I'm not closed. I'm trying to be closed-minded. Yeah. I'm constant. I'm not saying it's perfect now. I'm still looking for a lot of ways to adapt and grow my belief system. Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, those are my final thoughts.
No, absolutely. I think I'd hope to be in the same sort of direction as you, where I have that capacity to be malleable and adapt when new information comes in.
Yeah.
And that even means to things that I previously rejected, different religions and ideas. So I'm still open to the possibility of those being true.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope I am. That's the thing. It's difficult to know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I say all these things, but I'll admit, sometimes when I'm presented with an idea that seems to be confronting what I personally believe in, I do react quite aggressively.
100%.
Because like you were saying before, it's quite jarring for someone to have their fundamental belief system.
Yeah, exactly.
Critiqued.
Exactly.
Even if the other person's not intentionally trying to attack you.
Yeah.
It's still jarring.
It's still difficult. Yeah.
And because it really makes you think. That's why I think critical thinking is very, very important.
Yeah.
It's a very important skill to have.
100%.
Especially now.
100%.
I think especially now because there's so much polarization.
Yeah.
Between ideologies at the moment.
100%. Yeah. And look, as much as I've trying to become someone who is not influenced by presuppositions when it comes to determining what I believe. I also find it's difficult in practice, to simply just rid yourself of all the human biases that we have and to be so good faith all the time. It's hard, and I'm definitely not. But it's something that I think we should strive to be, and I think we're trying to do that in that conversation that we're having. But
and that's the best way to do it. Just have a conversation
and fight.
Yeah, and fight.
And tickle fight.
Yeah. And feed fight as well.
Oh, yeah.
But genuinely, I think it's really important to have discussions like this because like you were saying, we agree on a lot of things, but we also disagree on something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I find the conversation much more stimulating when we disagree. Okay, right. Than when we agree, because I'm not right about everything. Yeah. Even though I might think that sometimes.
I am.
But it's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for jumping on.
Thank you for having me.
What's the discount code for this week for my merch?
Oh, for your merch?
Yeah. CJ Potty on
Capitalism sucks. Yeah.
Capitalism sucks. All right. Check us out.
I don't really care about capitalism.
Yeah, sure, buddy. All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
We'll end it there. Yeah.
Yeah.